Hello, algebra students. I had so much fun making video 25. I am making video 26 too. So we are again going to multiply special case polynomials this time. So you are on page 5 in your Unit 3 packet. You are watching video number 26 and it is Miss Brott here with you. So again, we're just going to put a star in and I'm just going to remind you to add exponents when multiplying variables, which again, variables just means letters. So the rule when you're multiplying with polynomials is you add your exponents when you're multiplying with the variables. So again, we're on page 5, video number 26. So if you take a look at number 1, they give us x plus 5 times x minus 5. So we're going to do our double distribution again. So x times x would give me, I have 1s in front of each x, so 1 times 1 is 1. I have 1s as my invisible exponents. Remember, we add our exponents, so x to the first times x to the first, 1 plus 1 is 2. Then we have x times negative 5, which would give me negative 5x. And then we're also going to distribute that 5 to everything in the second set of parentheses. So 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. So very similar to video number 25. But this is where it becomes a little bit different. So we're still going to combine our like terms. I have no other x squared, so I don't have any like terms to combine that with. But I have negative 5x plus 5x. Well, a negative 5 plus 5 would be a big fat 0. So those cancel out. And I'm just left with x squared minus 25. So this time my answer is a binomial. Bi meaning 2 terms. So my first term is the x squared, my second term is the negative 25. All right, number 3 is a little bit different. So this time it says p minus 1, the whole quantity squared. So a lot of time what students want to do is they want to just take each of these and square them. That is not the case. So when we are squaring any term, we are multiplying that term by itself. So you have to write this out twice. Don't just say p squared and then negative 1 squared. That is not the case. So now that we have written it out 2 times because we're squaring, we do our double distribution. Excuse me. So p times p is going to give me p squared. Then I'm distributing p to negative 1. So p times negative 1 is negative 1p, or you can just put minus p. Either way is fine. Then we have negative 1 times p, which is again minus 1p or just minus p. Then we have a negative 1 times a negative 1, which is a positive 1. Now that I have done my double distribution, I'm going to combine my like terms. So I have a negative 1p minus 1p would give me negative 2p. And I carry down everything I have left. So the difference in number 1 and number 3, number 1, my middle terms canceled out because one was a positive, one was a negative. And number 3, they were both negative. So I got a negative 2. I'm going to do number 5 just like we did number 3. So if I'm squaring anything, I am writing it out 2 times. So I'm doing x times x, which gives me x squared. X times negative 4, which gives me negative 4x. And then I am going to distribute the negative 4 as well. Be careful with your negatives. So I'm multiplying negative 4 times x, which is a negative 4x. Then I'm multiplying -4 times -4. That would give me a positive 16. Again, be careful with those negatives. I think that's the biggest mistake I see everybody making this year. You're forgetting about a negative or losing a negative. All right, our next step, you guessed it, combine like terms. So I have -4x minus 4x, which is a -8x plus 16. So I have a trinomial as my answer here, and we are done with number 5. All right, number 7, we're gonna stick with double distribution. So we have x times x gives me x squared. I have x times 5, which gives me 5x. I have a -5 times x, which is a -5x. And then a -5 times 5. Again, don't lose your negatives. Be careful with those negatives. So -5 times 5 is -25. And you guys already are probably ahead of me because you're so smart and you know to combine your like terms. So we have a positive 5x minus 5x. 5 minus 5 gives me 0. So these cancel out. So I'm left with x squared minus 25. Which should look familiar, right? If we look back at number 1 was the same terms, they just had flipped them. So x minus 5, the polynomial came second, but in number 7, x minus 5 came first. I got the same answer. All right, number 9. So number 9, again, is squaring this whole polynomial. So when I'm squaring anything, I'm writing it out 2 times. Okay, so now we have more than just an exponent of 1. So I'm still doing my double distribution. So 2k squared times 2k squared. 2 times 2 would give me 4. I'm adding my exponents. So k squared times k squared. 2 plus 2 gives me k to the 4th. Now I'm doing 2k squared times 1. Well, anything times 1 is just itself, so that's 2k squared. I also need to distribute the positive 1. So 1 times 2k squared is again just 2k squared. And then we have 1 times 1. Make sure you're still multiplying. Sometimes people will put a 2 here, but it's 1 times 1, which is just 1. I don't have any like terms of k to the 4th, but I do have a like term of 2k squared and 2k squared. So that would give me 4k squared. We're keeping our our exponents the same when we add. We're just adding the numbers in front of the letter. And then I'm just carrying everything else down that I didn't use. All right, number 11, our last one. Number 11, again, we're squaring this whole term. So I'm going to write that whole polynomial, that binomial, out 2 times. And you guessed it, doing double distribution. So 2 times 2 gives me 4. 2 times 5n squared. So 2 times 5 is just 10. And I carry along the n squared. Then I'm distributing the 5n squared to both terms in the second set of parentheses. So 5 times 2 is 10. And carry along the n squared. And then I'm distributing 5n squared to 5n squared. So 5 times 5 is 25. Remember, when we're multiplying with variables, we add the exponents. So n squared times n squared is 2 plus 2, which is 4. Combine my like terms. So I have 10n squared plus 10n squared, which gives me 20n squared. And I carry down The other terms I didn't use. So you might think we're done, but I'm going to show you one more thing. On your Regents exam, if this is your final answer and it's a short answer, if it says you need to write your answer in standard form, or if it's a multiple choice answer, they will usually write it in standard form. Standard form means the highest exponent to the lowest exponent. So my highest exponent here is that n to the fourth, so I'm going to rewrite this in standard form. Again, standard form means highest exponent. My next highest exponent would be the 20 n squared because that has an exponent of 2. And then the 4 has no variables, that's my constant. So that constant goes last. So now we have this written in standard form, highest exponent to lowest exponent. I had so much fun making video number 26 for you, and I hope you guys all have a great day. We hope to see some Schoology messages from you all.